Yo, Hideyuki here, the Rebelling Rose, One Chain to Oblivion, returning yet again with another excellent video. Today, I'm just going to give my thoughts about Absolute Batman so far in the story. So, as of the time of this recording, there's 15 issues out of Absolute Batman, so I just wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on it real fast. I think, all in all, it's a pretty interesting Batman series. It's not my favorite one, but it's not the worst one either. It's kind of in the middle ground, at least for me, in terms of personal taste. Now, objectively, I think this series is a little above average. That's how I kind of see it, at least in my eyes. And the main reason being is the story itself, more or less the same we've seen in other Batman stories. It's not anything crazy like we haven't seen before, other than, of course, the twist on most of the other cast members, especially previous villains, being more closer to Bruce and seeing their origin story play out, and having Bane affecting, Croc and the Riddler and all these other characters, and making Joker this billionaire, what have you, that's been around for ages upon ages. So, there's some differences, some tweaks and adjustments here. Reading Absolute Batman almost feels like reading an Elseworld comic, but if it was treating itself as a canon story. So it's kind of interesting how they were able to bring those elements out while still making it a main canon title. Very interesting how they were able to do that. Now, one thing that I want to give praise for is definitely the art style. The art style here is very, very cool. Nick Dracota does a wonderful job with the art. Taking these characters and making them look the way they do, especially with Batman. They got this man buffed up as much as possible. And it's cool to see, seeing all the gadgets and what have you, seeing all these violent images whenever he's fighting and stuff like that. Really cool how he was able to pull that off, and just made Bane look like an absolute monster, but still made him an intelligent villain. But yeah, I think the villains in here, at least the Black Mask, a little underwhelming. He was just kind of there as fodder to hype up Bane and Joker and what would come later in the story, but there wasn't much about him himself. There wasn't really much about him that was interesting at the core. But when they did get to Bane, I was like, okay, they reworked Bane, of course, to fit in the story, and it worked. I thought it was an interesting interpretation of Bane, and it worked pretty well to the story's favor. And Joker, the way they're hyping up Joker is interesting too. I hope they do a little bit more, because right now they're hyping the living hell out of Joker in issue 15. So I hope it's not something where they give him a lot of hype and then it's just like it kind of dies off. I would hate for them to do that. I do want them to do a proper story arc for Joker like they did with Bane. So hopefully they'll keep that going. So yeah, I hope they don't do some overhyped stuff and then it just, falls off. But yeah, the one thing that I do have to say that does kind of get me in the gripes a little bit with this series is the tone. The tone in this series, oh boy. It's very on and off. Sometimes they try to be really edgy given the circumstances. And this is a younger Bruce Wayne we're talking about here. So, of course he's going to be a little bit on edge all the time and acting like he's still a fucking teenager and he's in his young 20s. So, of course he's going to be like that. But sometimes his dialogue can be really, really bad. And not just him, even Pennyworth's dialogue in here could be a little corny, as well as some of the other characters. Especially when they try to cuss or curse or anything like that. And it's just like, it comes across a little corny, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes it works, and other times I'm like, just roll my eyes back by the tone. So yeah, the tone can be a little messy here sometimes. Like, it just tries so hard to be edgy in every panel possible. But it doesn't always work. For certain emotional moments, yes, it works very, very well. Especially when Bruce was captured by Bane and he was, tortured for so long. Okay, it made sense in that scenario, but some of the opening bits and pieces with the Black Mask arc, I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of silly. Or even later on when he's fighting Bane for the final time, and it's like, okay, yeah, dialogue is still kind of hit or miss for me. But yeah, other than that, I think it's an overall very solid Batman comic. I can see why this is one of the most popular Batman titles of all time, and of course in recent years. right? I mean, this thing is selling like hotcakes. I mean, the Absolute line is already selling like hotcakes, but especially this one, I mean, it's just doing crazy numbers. So, when it comes to other people reviewing this series and what they consider to be trash about this, it always interests me. There's always going to be a butthurt loser that cares about making the characters as accurate to their original interpretation as possible, especially if it's a main title, because they're very, very on the nose about that. And a part of me is like, I kind of get it, because it's like, okay, it's a main title series, you would expect it to, stay the same, but at the same time, you kind of have to try different things. It's not to say that it will work every time, but you got to try different things. You can't be doing the same thing year upon year and then just expect it to still be the same quality. You got to do different things. And Absolute Batman, I think, achieved that greatly with the direction it went in, right? So when people are complaining that, oh man, it's so woke, man. Oh, the story is woke, man. This character isn't like the actual character. And then this one's like this and this one's like that. And oh, it's just edgy garbage, man. Oh, just crying over there like the loser they are, right? I just look at that and I'm like, that's all you have to say? It's just like, God damn. How ignorant do you have to be to just completely brush things to the wayside somewhere and just miss all the greatness that's there? I mean, it's crazy to me. I mean, what you're complaining about isn't even has anything to do with the actual writing or dialogue or character development or anything like that, which that's another strong point in this series. They develop Bruce Wayne very, very well. And I do like how they develop the other villains, like Croc and Riddler, and seeing their origin unfold. Bane had some good story beats in here as well, so it's all in here. So I don't know how you could just go against that completely, but that's neither here nor there. All in all, I think Absolute Batman is a very solid contender. It's still definitely worth reading, and even though there's other Batman comics I'm reading at the moment right now, like Immortal Legend Batman, that's gonna be wrapped up pretty soon. I'll probably do a full series review of that pretty soon. Absolute Batman definitely deserves its praise. It deserves its hype. I see what people are talking about, and I recognize that. I have no problems with it at all. The hype is completely deserved in my eyes. But anyways, with that being said, Hideyuki here, the Rebelling Rose, and until next time, I'll see you.